When we look at the numbers, and this is from an ESPN article, and you look at the numbers, and there is some concern there. You see the completion percentage to Beckham since 2019, worst among quarterback wide receiver duos. Now, when Baker targets Landry, it's 93.5, 73.6 when targeting Beckham. And you see the offense kind of improved when Beckham got hurt, and before it was kind of 14th, middle of the pack. Having said all that, it's a factor of Baker Mayfield also getting comfortable with Kevin Stefanski, and Kevin Stefanski getting comfortable with Baker Mayfield as quarterback.
Yeah, unfortunately for Odell Beckham, he got hurt right when Baker was sort of starting to figure it out. And some people kind of look at that and say, well, maybe that's why he started to figure out. I don't necessarily see that direct correlation. Now with Jarvis Landry, you mentioned those Jarvis Landry numbers, and for whatever reason, he and Baker Mayfield just connected almost immediately. And I do think there's something to this idea that Baker and Odell just haven't always been on the same page. Remember, Odell wasn't around for OTAs his first year in Cleveland, and so they missed out on a lot of those reps. Now he's hurt. We don't know what kind of work they're going to get this offseason. Last offseason was completely virtual, so they missed out on some of that stuff as well. Baker is a rhythm guy. He's a guy that likes to be on the same page with his receivers, and we see sometimes guys come in and it doesn't click right away. I think that's been the case with Beckham. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see how Beckham would look in this offense once Baker really kind of started to figure it out, and he had those fantastic last 6 games of the season. I'd have loved to have seen Odell in that offense, and we probably would have had an answer. Okay, is it just that they're not on the same page, or is it just that they're not a fit? Unfortunately, we don't have that answer, and the Browns have some decisions to make this offseason with these high-priced wide receivers.
Yeah, you do have to figure that out. The other thing is, Kevin Stefanski didn't get the opportunity to really figure out how to use Odell Beckham, to the best of his ability. Kind of the way he was working through Baker Mayfield. There are certain things that you can do with Odell Beckham that you can't do with anyone else on this roster.
And I think we saw it, especially in that Dallas game. He ran the end around pass for Jarvis Landry to throw to Odell Beckham Jr. for the touchdown. We saw little glimpses here and there. Odell had a big catch against Cincinnati. He had that run against Dallas. Who knows how that Dallas game turns out if Odell doesn't turn what could have been a 15 or 16-yard loss into a 50-yard touchdown run. So they've seen that dynamic player at work, and it's just a matter of Kevin Stefanski tapping in a little bit to what he was able to do with Stephon Diggs before he came to Cleveland. And he had that kind of dynamic downfield receiver who really wants the football. He's got to go back and maybe tap into that a little bit to figure out how to involve Odell more in this offense.
And keep in mind, he's trying to figure out Baker Mayfield, trying to figure out Odell Beckham. It's easier to do with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt because those are blocking schemes. And so I think I get the concern. The bigger concern is, do you see them paying 2 wide receivers, in essence, $14-15 million a piece? And do you see them potentially doing that long term?
I don't see it happening long term. And I think there is going to come a point here before the league year starts where they sit down with Jarvis or they call up Odell Beckham's agent and they say, look, we want to keep you here, but this contract, it's not tenable. We've got to figure out a way to reduce this number a little bit and do some of those cap gymnastics that teams are so good at. Rework the contract a little bit, move some guarantees up, bring that cap number down just a little. I do think we're coming to a point where they might not have to move on from one of these guys, but they are going to have to sit down with them and say, are you willing to make a little bit of a sacrifice here? Maybe get a little more money up front, but make a little bit of a sacrifice so that we can kind of rework. We've got a lot of extensions coming up, a lot of new contracts coming our way. If you want to stay in Cleveland, you might have to give a little bit on this contract.